Hi, I'm Kirby Allison, and today I'm back in London for what is arguably the most important gathering of shoe aficionados anywhere in the world. I'm at the 2022 London Super Trunk Show. This happens once a year here in London. It's organized by Shoegazing blog and the Shoe Snob in conjunction with other sponsors, and it's an opportunity to host a variety of different people in the industry that are doing work at the highest level. But more importantly, it's also where the World Championship of Shoemaking and the World Championship of Shoe Shining takes place. One of the things that makes the London Super Trunk Show particularly unique and different from the other trunk shows hosted around the world are the various different competitions that are hosted throughout the day. Here to my right, we have the World Championship of Patina, where 3 patina artists start with a crust pair of shoes, completely undyed leather, and in 5 hours are able to transform it into a completely unique, one-of-a-kind masterpiece. This is all done here at the Super Trunk Show. And what makes it fun is that various people can sit and actually see this work being done. And right behind me, we have the World Championship of Shoe Shining, which will occur a bit later, where 3 shoe shiners go head-to-head against one another to see how high of a gloss shine they can create in just 20 minutes. And then, of course, probably the most important event of the day is the World Championship of Shoemaking, where various shoemakers compete against one another to create the finest example of the craft possible. So it's a fun day, there's a lot going on, and I really look forward to being able to visit with the various exhibitors and see these incredible competitions taking place. Without question, this is the place to be in London today for those passionate about shoes. I'm here right now with Jesper of the Shoegazing website and Skolix. Now, Jesper, thank you so much for visiting with me. Of course, you along with Justin, right, at the Shoe Snob, were the 2 that really kind of put this together. So I know it's been a while. It's been 2 years since our last competition. It's got to feel great to finally be back in London and have all these people together.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, 3 years ago we had an event, and then we thought, we'll soon be back and everything.
Yeah.
But just postponed.
Yeah, the world had other plans. Yeah.
And it seems like people are really happy about it happening again.
Yeah.
Because it's been really busy. Yeah.
Well, I have to say, it was 3 years ago, the last one, but the crowd seems phenomenal. I mean, it seems as though we have more people this year than we even had 3 years ago, the last time.
Definitely. Yeah. I think it's, and it started already from the morning that people arrived, and now we soon with the shining contest we'll have sort of peak hour probably. It's really busy, and I'm happy about that. Yeah. People are obviously been waiting for this to happen again.
Yeah. And so, Jesper, how long have you been riding under the Shoegazing blog?
I started the Swedish edition, I think, in 2012, and then a couple of years later, because that grew much more than I had expected. This was just a hobby thing from the beginning. And then I started the English edition, I think 2014 or 2015, maybe something like that. Yeah, so it's been for a few years now.
Well, and I think as far as the kind of the shoe industry is concerned, I mean, your blog is really kind of the industry blog. I mean, there's other people that produce content. I mean, we produce content. Of course, Justin at the Shoe Snob produces content. But one of the things I've really appreciated about what you've done is I think it's really evolved into the source for kind of industry information, not just in ready-to-wear, but in bespoke. And so I'm interested in kind of your take on whether or not you're surprised or have been caught off guard at all by just how much the enthusiast culture has developed around bespoke shoemaking. Because 10 years ago or 12 years ago, back whenever, you begun, I mean, the idea of having a show like this that people would be flying in from around the world to attend, would have been unfathomable.
No, it's definitely evolved into something that sort of takes all the possibilities that we have with the digital era and making information just publicly available, and it's sort of made the whole thing with bespoke shoes more accessible to understand for more people. They can appreciate it, even if not everyone has the possibility to go order a pair of bespoke, but people are intrigued by it. And this is, if you're interested in shoes and craftsmanship, just sort of everyone admires and understands the high value of proper bespoke shoes. So that's what we see, and I mean, it's I think it's fantastic the way that I mean, all of us who are working with this and spreading with this, and also the makers are starting to get better. We have a bunch of French. The French are awesome at promoting the craft and all that. So that's it rewards us, and we should continue to do that, because it's this is a craft that definitely deserves to live on and prosper, and I'm happy to see that it goes in that direction.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, the work that you see within shoemaking is really astounding. I mean, just the quality, the craftsmanship, the tradition, of course, values that are really important to us here, kind of on my channel, and it's so well epitomized by shoemaking. What do you think the role is between bespoke shoemaking and ready-to-wear? Because, I mean, the market and the number of people that can really access bespoke is tiny. I mean, even if you can afford it, you have to be able to meet with the bespoke makers and be willing to invest the time. But how do you see the role of bespoke and really influencing ready-to-wear?
I mean, of course, first of all, the bespoke makers have a big influence in how new styles and how shoes are looking. We see that in a lot of ready-to-wear shoes, that you sort of try to mimic the bespoke look to a larger extent, because people see that as sort of the high value, and even if you don't afford it, if you buy ready-to-wear, a lot of people want the same sort of look and that thing. But then also it's like the Ferraris and the Lamborghinis and all that. They push the craft forward. They push the bespoke shoemaking industry is pushing the whole craft forward, because that's where you get the absolute top level, and that's what everyone else sort of have to, in one way or another, compare towards. So even if, of course, good welded shoes and factory-made shoes is a different thing, and if you go to the entry-level shoes, it's essentially a very different product, even if it's still shoes. Yeah. But they all sort of intentionally and unintentionally sort of drives off what comes from the bespoke industry as well.
Yeah. So Jesper, I mean, it's a big day for you, right? There's a lot going on. Very busy. What is it that you're most excited about?
I mean, I'm most excited about the World Championship contests, I'd say, because to showcase three types of sort of crafts with shoe shining and shoe patina, and then of course the shoemaking, to showcase that for people, the absolute top end, to combine, and also of course combine with all the exhibitors here with the variety of shoes there. But yeah, I'm happy that the World Championship contests have been accepted by this sort of whole industry in a way that I hoped for, and very glad for that it has.
Absolutely. Well, Jesper, thank you again for all your work kind of organizing today's event, and we look forward to kind of seeing everything that you have in store for us.
Yeah, it'll be a good day.
Yeah, thank you. One of the other things I look forward to about the Super Trunk Show is the group of exceptional shoemakers that gather from around the world to showcase their work. Here today I have the opportunity to visit with Norman, one of the exceptional shoemakers, again doing interesting work. And I think one of the things, Norman, that I particularly appreciate about your work that I'd like you to talk about is how you really push the boundary. I mean, shoes are shoes, right? But you really showcase that it can be so much more than just a pair of shoes, something that's really inspiring, and from a design perspective, quite unique.
Well, actually, it's my aim also is always like learning something and then to have the tools to change, to add something, because so many shoes, so many beautiful shoes. So I always trying to add something, taking risks, make a lot of mistakes, and then find some things that really work, and I can add something.
Yeah. And so this is a collection of ready-to-wear shoes, but you also do some bespoke, is that correct?
Yeah. We here mainly what we see here is our ready-made line, which is like a hand-finished line with the welted construction.
Okay.
That I love the most because I put all I learned in the bespoke into the ready-to-wear to find a kind of sensation in the foot. Okay. But also we are showcasing some bespoke shoes.
Okay.
Like this. One-piece whole cat lacy man Oxford and some boots, and we offer that range of ready to wear, ready-made, handmade completely. We call it the 1202 collection, and then the bespoke, the full bespoke with grand measure, like two fitting shoes, and then the shoe completely made by hand.
Yeah, and so you have your own website that features your entire collection.
Yeah. We in the website you can find some examples of a bespoke or 1202 collection, and mainly the ready-made line of shoes.
Yeah. Well, can you choose a few shoes from this collection to talk about that you think particularly represent your work?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing is like my Deacon Chelsea. So this is like a long story short. I tried one Chelsea in the south of Spain. I didn't like it, so I said I had to change this style. So I fused it with the derby. So this is our bestseller.
Really?
Yeah.
And so it has almost a hidden elastic right here on the side, and then it's got the laces. So it's a Chelsea married together with the derby. That's really unique. Yeah.
It was, and it had been our bestseller since the beginning.
Okay.
Of my ready-made line.
Yeah. And are these patinas? I mean, again, a part of the standard offering?
Patinas is something that from the beginning was in my workshop, because I love Olga Berluti, and I respect so much, and she gave us that opportunity to explore patina. So I'm doing my patinas, but it's something that I always recall to have.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's important to kind of remember that Olga Berluti and what was the 1970s really totally transformed the shoemaking industry by, for all intents and purposes, inventing or at least commercializing the patina.
Yeah. It's fantastic because she invented some for me. Even if she doesn't make shoes, she's the best main shoemaker of 20th century because she invented something that is magical. It's a story in the shoe. You're not focusing just in the detail, the quality of the materials. She make the customers like dream with a color, like eccentric coloring, and something like really, really personal. For me, it's the highest you can reach.
Yeah. And you've got some beautiful patinas here. Talk to me, it seems like there's a lot of boots. This is another really interesting one.
Yeah.
Do you mind talking about this?
Yeah, of course. This comes from the south of Spain. This is a design they use for bullfighting and also for riding horses. And we did it like they do it like for the countryside. So they do it really rough. But in this case, we made it like a kind of a fancy handwork. But it's a very complex style because it has to be blocked in a wood, and the lines are really interesting.
It's a beautiful seamless heel.
Yeah. It's like and also it's really rich. You cannot imagine that someone is using this for riding horses, no?
Yeah.
But again, it's something that comes from the south of Spain, and we elevated to.
And is this bespoke? Because the workmanship's incredible.
Yeah. This bespoke. Full bespoke. Yeah. And also we do it like in our line, ready-made line. Okay, but it's on request.
Yeah. And so what is the price of your bespoke offering for a boot like this?
For a boot like this is around 5,000 euros in bespoke, because you have to consider that we make two fittings. So we make a last for a customer. We design the last of the customer. I don't like that my customer come and say, okay, I want that shoe in my size. I have to understand the customer to see how they dress, how they use, for example, trousers to design a certain shape. Side, of course, the measurements are on the side, but I'm talking about the style of the shoe. And then we make a couple of fitting shoes, then a second fitting shoe, and then we start with the final pair of shoes when the last is perfect.
Yeah. What about this one right here? This is another, quite interesting shoe that you don't see very often, if ever.
The story is that I was living in Mallorca in the countryside, and so I have chickens and animals, so I had to go in the mud all the time, so I need a rough shoe. So I took the idea from ski boot, old ski boots, and I've been making so many pairs of these, so many different designs. So it's and also I mix it with this like rubber sole that I love, and you will see that in many shoes.
Yeah, and with the beautiful patina, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you have to go with the patina. It's like, yeah.
And then so talk a little bit about this. Is this something that you can insert or?
Yeah, this is an insert that comes in, used to come in the ski boots. So like probably too warm, and they were lower on the back, so it's a kind of nice in winter when you have this, it can give you a bit more of warm. Also, I like it for thing, so I have to put it.
Absolutely, wow. Well, what else? I mean, the shoes are absolutely beautiful. Again, very inspired, and I mean, to be able to access this type of design inspiration is really, pretty unique, I would say.
I mean, it's a lot of effort. We're a small team. And our customers support us very much. And we're driven by passion. What I consider the important thing in a shoe is always what you don't see. Always what is hidden. For example, last the structure of a shoe. So what I did in my ready to wear is okay, I want my customers to have a feeling, because certain ideas on the shoes that are really old, like the idea of you have to break it in the shoe, for example. No, it depends on how you make the structure of the shoe. So what I invest is a lot of time developing last and structure, selecting the materials and how we're going to use the materials. So if you see for example, the soles on a ready-made shoe, they're really narrow here, and it comes from, compared to others,
traditional factory made.
Okay. Yeah. So it comes from the last. It's very carved like a bespoke last in the arch. So it will give you support. Also the way I'm using the counters, or how I'm reinforcing the leather, it depends on the structure and the feeling I want my customers to feel.
Yeah.
Okay. So that you can do it when you're an artist, and you focus on what you don't see, and then it comes outside. You see a nice tip is because the last and all the materials are right.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Norman, hey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely beautiful shoes, and I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed, learning more about your company and seeing these masterpieces.
Thank you for coming to Europe to do this.
Yeah, the pleasure's all mine. I'm the one having fun.
I know.
Yeah, thank you. So we've had an opportunity to visit with a lot of the shoemakers, but I wanted to take a moment to introduce everyone to Phil Norsworthy. Phil, it's so great to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you again.
Yeah. So Phil does the most incredible tools. So he's the head of research and development at Dunkelman, which is a last-making company in Northampton that does a lot of work with the trade. But on his spare time and kind of as a hobby, Phil has developed quite a reputation as producing some of the most beautiful shoemaking tools that you can find anywhere right now. So Phil, you've got a few samples right here, and I thought maybe you could just talk a little bit about your work and how really the tools are so important to supporting the trade itself.
Of course, yeah. I wouldn't have got into making any tools if it wasn't for people like Dan Wegan and obviously my son Samuel. And obviously they require tools for their jobs, and they have specific needs. And I just started making things in my spare time to make sure that they had the appropriate tools. And I like making things nicely. I don't like to do things on a basic level. So these are some examples of my work here that are all done in different materials. So we have flame maple, we have ash. This one here is in horn, solid horn. I like working in brass, but the two at the top here are actually going to be a choice of alternative prizes for the shoemaking competition here this year. So the three finalists will have a choice between one or two of these designs, and they'll be made specifically for that individual, and they have the year engraved on the base of the tool here.
Look at that, 2022.
So this is ebony, and there's Damascus steel, and these are vintage rash balls.
That's amazing.
From the 1950s.
Yeah, one of the things that's incredible about bespoke shoemaking, of course, is the fact that the tools that a bespoke shoemaker uses are exceptionally important, right?
Absolutely.
But very few have been produced within the last 100 years. In the late 19th century and early 20th century, you could find a bunch of shoemaking tools, but they just haven't been made, and so most shoemakers spend a lot of their time, kind of scouring eBay or to buy vintage tools.
One in particular, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, but you're actually making new tools. That's actually neat.
Yeah, that was the plan, and we can see lots of different designs of tools. Ones that were the most popular with certain shoemakers, and obviously I can reproduce something in that same style. I don't like copying anything because there's a lot of work that goes into the design of tools, and once you've designed something, that's your design. design.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm all for taking inspiration from certain tools and just making sure that they're made on a really nice level. I like to make tools for life rather than just a throwaway item that you can get anywhere on the internet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these are absolutely works of art. I mean, incredible craftsmanship. I would expect nonetheless from you. As someone that is maybe a shoemaker out there that would like to find more information about your tools or commission something from you, what would be the best way for them to get in touch with you?
I think the easiest way is to follow my account on Instagram and send me a direct message.
Okay.
You know, that way I'm always going to see it. I'll check the account several times a day, so we can always take it from there. Because sometimes there will be elements of the tools that I make that are attractive to some, and maybe some characteristics that someone said, actually, I'd like it changed here. These are all turned from scratch, and as you know, I'm a CAD draftsman as well, so I'll draw everything up to begin with, and if I know that it works, I'll make it.
Yeah, great. Well, Phil, hey, thank you so much for all the work that you do. And you know, there's going to be some finalists here that are getting an that'll be lucky to have some of these tools.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm here right now with someone that is no stranger to this channel. Of course, that is Daniel Wegan, the 2019 World Champion of Shoemaking. I guess you've got a few minutes left, about 30 minutes or an hour left as the reigning champion. But I just wanted to ask you, I mean, you've set up a booth here. You're very generously kind of showing all your models. You've got your 2019 World Championship shoe. What's it like to be back, and what did you think of this year's shoes?
Well, it's great to be back. It's nice to see that this event still has some momentum. There's still interest even after lockdowns and not doing the event for, 3 years?
Yeah, 3
almost.
years.
So, yeah, it's great to be back. And obviously it's probably a little bit lower attendance this year with travel restrictions and so on. But it's a great event. And the shoemaking championships have really kind of coming together and developing into like a real niche of shoemaking, and you can see that they know it's a competition now, the people entering, and yeah, it's just great to see. And you see the things that did well the previous year is inspiring the work the next upcoming year. So it just gets better and better and better.
I mean, one of the things that, we were both judges that we were talking about back yesterday when we were judging is that, I think it's interesting that this year's shoes, at least at the top, look more like, the 2019 shoes at the top, and the 2019 shoes looked like the 2018 shoes.
Yeah.
And I think it's a real validation of what was the original intent behind the World Championship of Shoemaking, which was to really elevate and push the craft to a higher level.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, every year you can see similarities from the things that did well the previous year and taking it to another level, and then hopefully trying to add a new element that will set your shoe apart from the other competitors. So whatever wins this year, I'm sure in the upcoming year we'll see a lot of that taking inspiration into the new contributions for 2023.
Yeah, I mean, each year does set a new standard, but I mean, even though that you're seeing some of these same elements, I mean, again, just the degree of difficulty and then the precision of execution required to achieve that is no small task.
No, I think you can really see in the shoes now that the first year, most shoes was very well made, but more like a standard shoe that you would make for a client. And the next year, there was a lot more extreme, a lot more hand sewing, fine work. And now it's at a level where you can really see that the level that the craftsmen are trying to achieve is very challenging. So some of the shoes look almost a little bit rougher because it's so challenging to do that work neat. Yeah. But there's obviously still shoes that stand out as impeccable workmanship. But yeah, you can see that people have to push harder, which I think is what it's all about. That it should be difficult. It should be something out of your comfort zone to help push the craft forward.
Yeah, and it's hard to, I guess, remember that it was 3 years ago. You know, I mean, this championship and winning really helped launch your career as an independent shoemaker, now with Catella.
Yeah.
So how has that been going? I mean, you know, you're traveling again, and now making, you know, shoes kind of under your own name.
Yeah, you know, like I left G&G into November 2019, and I kind of launched my brand beginning of 2020. And then a few months into that, the lockdown happened. So
perfect timing.
Perfect timing, very good, good timing. And but now obviously things are opening up again, and going to the US and having a lot of people traveling to London for business and pleasure. And there's a little. I feel like there's a bit of a boom, a lot of enthusiasm. Whether that is because people are just excited about going out again, or people are, you know, they've kind of built up a bit of a demand by people not traveling, doing trunk shows and so on.
Yeah.
But people are definitely buying different styles, more casual, now that, you know, work habits have changed quite a lot for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting to see your work. It's exciting to see you out. And of course, you know, we wish you the best of success and kind of everything you're doing. So Daniel, thank you so much.
Pleasure, always a pleasure.
Yeah. Cheers. So I'm here with one of the finalists of the 2022 World Championship of Shoe Patina contest, John Chung from Singapore. John, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time.
Thank you.
And congratulations, of course, I mean, on being a finalist. Now, you were also the 2019 World Champion of Shoe Shining.
Yeah.
And so I was a little bit worried that if you won today, that, you know, next year you'd have to come as a shoemaker.
Yeah.
So you probably saved yourself a little bit of trouble, you know, because it would have been a long year. But it's an absolutely beautiful shoe. Of course, it had an exceptional shine, which we would have expected nonetheless from you on. But it's a beautiful shoe, and it's honestly, you know, a shoe that I could see myself wearing in the evening time.
Yeah, so this shoe in particular, I try to create a more rustic look. You know, blending the dark brown waxes together with the blue dyes, so that there's a bit of green that pops out of the surface. And then of course you've got some darkenings which could have been better, some shading which could have been better, but you know, it's 5 hours and the time is limited, you know.
Yeah.
If you got to do the sides, you've got to do the bottom, then you have to polish it as well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's really incredible that, I mean, you guys were able to do this much in just 5 hours, because normally a patina like this would probably take several days.
Yeah, exactly. So I think with the limited time and some of the other work that the finalists have done, it's incredible to see what they can do in 5 hours.
Yeah.
And imagine if it's, you know, a day or two, it could even be better.
Yeah. Yeah. So what, I mean, what do you think the most difficult part of patina is?
Well, I think it's about the reaction to the leather, because when the dye goes in, sometimes if you're not familiar with the material you're working with, they tend to spread out a little bit differently. So creating that fade might be a little bit more complicated. And at the same time, there's so many things that's quite dynamic about patina coloring. So it's a matter of perspective. Maybe perhaps you enjoy green colors, there's somebody else that enjoys blues or reds. So I would say there's no right or wrong, that's the most difficult part.
Yeah, I mean, it's really incredible that you can take a pair of crust leather shoes, which is basically a blank canvas, and create something, you know, totally unique and one of a kind. Now you're based in Singapore at Maison Smith. Do you provide this service there as well for Singaporean customers?
Yes, we do. We provide patina recoloring as well as for other leather goods. All that is possible in the shop.
And I understand that you guys are also in shoe repair now.
Yes, exactly. So we do shoe repair, half rubbers, toe steel, top lip replacement, etc. Resoling, and basically it has become or grown into a all-in-one store. So very convenient for all shoe lovers.
Well, congratulations, and I mean, it's again a great showing here, and really just speaks to the level of expertise and skills that you guys have back home. And of course, the winner of the World Championship of Shoe Shining this year was another member of your team from Maison Smith. So you guys are now two-time kind of world champions of shoe shining. So very exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And it's great to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
So we've got two of the additional finalists here in the World Championship of Shoe Patina. we've got Sonny May and Tong, who is actually our 2022 world champion of shoe patina. Now, coincidentally, you said you're both Vietnamese, living in Paris and working at Corthay. And I think it really speaks to just the skill level at Corthay, given the fact that you guys specialize in this kind of work. I mean, Corthay, being, world renowned for its patina work.
Yes. Oh, we are proud that we went so far into this competition together. I think we are happy what we produce in here. I am happy with my patina. Unfortunately, it's not enough. Tuan did it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the point is we did it right.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that's interesting is just the degree of difference that you can see just in the work. I mean, it is truly one-of-a-kind artistry. I mean, you all started with the same shoe, and each of the finalists, right, ended up with 3 distinctly different but uniquely beautiful shoes. That was a product of their own particular vision of how they wanted to take them.
Yes, and I think that we do something that we are really happy with it. Comparing to what we do usually at Paris, this is very something to.
We're out of our comfort zone.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is it.
So, is this the type of work that you would do back home at Corthay?
Yes, on our shoes. This is what I usually do, and Tuan is, if I can speak for Tuan, Tuan is someone more creative. He try new things and he get more in outside of the comfort zone. That's why you have more contrasting and something incredibly well made as well with his talent.
So Tuan, talk to me a little bit about these shoes. I mean, these won the 2022 World Championship in shoe patina. What were the kind of the challenging patina kind of characteristics that you employed that really set this shoe apart?
Alors, the challenge for me was to let the crust leather on the toe. So that's here mean that it's just crust leather with a glaçage and a cream. And after that, I do a little shade of brown, darker and darker, and to make this shading with and I adding some burgundy and some black on the to having a very contrasted patina.
I mean, one of the things that I really appreciate about this is normally you would see burnishing on the toes, right? You would darken these areas, and you've really inversed that. And the fading is quite spectacular. I mean, it literally looks like, in some ways, this shoe is almost floating on a cloud.
It's an idea of Pierre Corthay, because in Corthay, we do always the toe lighter. Because when you expose some pair in a shop window, with the sun, it will lighting the shoes. So.
Yeah. What you're talking about is that the window models that are left in the sunlight would fade like this naturally over time, and so you're effectively recreating that truly authentic patina, but through leather dye.
Yes, I try to do the more natural patina that's possible, and with adding some kind of glamour. Yeah.
So, Tuan, I understand that you're also a designer at Corthay, correct?
Yeah, I work at the office with Pierre Corthay. So we work on new models. I design, I draw some new models, and I make it valid. I wait for the validation of Pierre Corthay, and after that we produce the new models.
Yeah. So someone that might be interested in patina like this, I mean, they could reach out to Corthay, right? And this is something that they could commission through you at the shop. Is that correct?
Yes, for me, yes, indeed.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, gentlemen. I mean, absolutely beautiful work, and it's so great to see everyone back together again.
Thank you, Kirby.
Thank you, Kirby. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm here today with one of the contestants here in the 2022 World Championship of Shoemaking. This is Alan Donnelly. Now, Alan, you came all the way from Thailand, that's right?
That's correct, yes. But I'm also involved with a studio in New York.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Alan, you're a bespoke shoemaker. You entered the competition. And talk to us a little bit about this, beautiful shoe that you put together and kind of what inspired you.
Well, as you know, it's a bit wacky, but I knew like the top 3 or 5 or 10 were going to be the Japanese.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd just make something to stand out. Done a double welt, a bit different. I was kind of playing around with the rules. I don't know if the double sole was allowed.
Yeah.
Might have been penalised, I don't know. But yeah, it's like the theme is playing cards. Heart, club, diamond, and spade.
Yeah. And what about this right here? What is that?
That's just to mark the date.
2022.
Because
Okay.
it'll be sitting on my shelf in my workshop, you know.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I think is fascinating about the World Championship of Shoemaking is it really showcases just the craft and how broad it is at the moment. I mean, you're in Thailand, which normally people wouldn't associate with craftsmanship at this level.
Yeah.
Of course, we've seen the Japanese, we've seen the English, Corthay, from France, but we've had a lot of people from all over the world enter this year's contest.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't know that we're up there with the rest of them, I would say.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I primarily cater for the expats that come to Thailand, and there's like quite a big community, and so I cater for a lot of extra wide fittings and guys that can't find shoes, and we're trying to push to be up there with the rest. And I would say we're the best in Southeast Asia anyway, for what we do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And do you do trunk shows in the United States as well?
I do indeed, yeah. Mostly New York these days, because I've got a base in San Diego, so a lot of time in California and also New York, and I like to stop more second-tier cities as well.
Well, great. Well, congratulations as being, one of the entrants here in the World Championship of Shoemaking. It's a great shoe. I really enjoyed the design and, really kind of showcased, not just your craftsmanship, but also kind of design creativity. Yeah. Alan, hey, thank you so much.
Kirby, thank you.
Yeah, cheers. So I'm here right now with one of the organizers of the London Super Trunk Show and all the championship competitions that we saw today. This, of course, is no stranger, Justin Fitzpatrick of the Shoe Snob. Justin, it's so great seeing you here in London. It's been far too long. And you were actually one of the first people I met in London back in, I think, 2011. You were still shining shoes at Gives and Hawks. We had a small little conversation as two young guys lost in London. And it's funny to see just how far we've each come. And here we are back actually having an opportunity to collaborate. So I just wanted to get your take kind of on everything we saw today and kind of what you think of all of it.
Yeah, no, I think it was a little bit scary because a lot in the world has happened. And, I thought, are people going to come? Are people not going to come? How's it going to be like? There's so many unknowns. So it was really good. In the back of the mind, you're thinking, people want to come out. And so it was good to get that reaffirmed and have this huge turn up. I mean, I remember in the previous years, there were slow periods. There was not one slow period in this whole show. So that was nice. The competitions are getting better and more fierce every year. Love to see the quality of the shoemaking is improving. That means people they want to win, so they're up in their game. So overall, I just feel like, and brands coming from different parts of the world, which is really cool. Never had we had people from Vietnamese, Indian, all over the planet, and I think it's growing naturally, and I think it could grow even so much more. Yeah. So I look forward to seeing what the future holds with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's interesting to, again, see that coming out of course, 2 to 3 years of not being able to travel, just how much energy there is kind of around high-end shoemaking, whether it be bespoke shoemaking or just high-end, ready-to-wear, kind of Goodyear welted shoes. There's as much energy today as I've ever seen, and I think that's really been kind of showcased here at the London Super Trunk Show.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's, again, the competition all around is higher in the bespoke, in the ready-to-wear. These brands are doing phenomenal stuff at phenomenal prices. It's the level of tenacity is definitely rising in the industry, which makes all brands elevate because, if you want to be selling, you got to start being as good as your competition. The competition is getting tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, of course, I mean, you have your own shoe company, J. Fitzpatrick. What's next for you?
Well, I guess I can kind of announce this, but in the pandemic, I launched an entry-level line. I had my kind of classic line of my specialties, and then I wanted to have something for the guys, I don't know, getting into dress shoes, an alternative to Allen Edmonds or Meerman. And then we relaunched our sneaker line, and now I'm looking at a handmade line. So I'm looking at a higher end line. Yeah. So that's my next project that I'm working on. I just finished making a last, so.
Okay, well there you go. Yeah. Well, Justin, hey, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kirby. Always a pleasure.
Congratulations on a great show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm here with one of the more interesting exhibitors here. This is a Modem. I've got Philip and Milar coming from Germany. And they have an interesting new startup that is utilizing 3D scanning technology to make Bespoke accessible to a wider audience. So, gentlemen, I know that you guys have been putting a ton of work into your product, and I thought this would be a great opportunity for you guys to discuss a little bit about what you're doing and the strides that you guys have made.
Okay, so the basic idea was that we were very frustrated coming out of an engineering position and then having the chance and the comfort to actually being able to purchase good quality shoes, that you can get very good quality shoes, but the fit doesn't increase a bit.
Yeah.
And that made us so frustrated that we wanted to solve this problem. Mm-hmm. And our opinion on this topic is that we had to abandon shoe sizes and be able to just create individual lasts for every single order.
Yeah. And so you guys have basically launched with like, what is it, like a 500, like what was it, a group buy for 500 people, right? You guys have delivered, what, how many of those 500?
Right now we have 350, and during the next month we want to finish all of the pre-orders.
Oh, really?
And then officially launch Modem and accept new ones.
Okay. So how has that process been for you two? I mean, has the technology validated itself? Have you been happy with the fit?
Absolutely. The first pair of shoes, of course, went wrong. What would you expect? But now, having done over 300 pairs of shoes, we only had like 3 or 4 different persons where we said, okay, we can't do it. For the rest, they were very happy. We have a first try success rate of 90%. So 10% of the people actually have some complaints, but most of them we can just solve by talking, because there's some misconception in the market about what a bespoke shoe is. And some people have the opinion that a bespoke shoe actually feels as if you were walking barefoot.
Yeah.
But of course, that is
definitely not true. Yeah. Are they handmade, right? I mean, so are the shoes handmade, or are you utilizing factory-made techniques?
We are utilizing factory-made techniques, and actually our vision was, to close this big gap between high-quality factory-made shoes and the handmade bespoke shoes. We thought there is a big room for something in between, with provide you with a very good individual semi-bespoke fit, but with the affordability of welted footwear. And that's how it's actually working. So customers scan their foot themselves using a smartphone app.
Really, just a smartphone?
Yeah, you just need a sheet of paper. You put your naked foot on the top of the sheet. You make 3 pictures. And out of those pictures, we can create a very precise 3D model. That's an example what we generate out of 3 pictures.
Yeah. So this is basically what the client is providing you, a representation of their foot. But then how do you take this and actually turn it into a beautiful shoe?
Yeah, after the customer has selected which kind of shoe he wants, we have different toe styles, different pattern, leather colors and types. We've developed a piece of software together with 2 shoemakers in Germany over 2.5 years, which is leveraging artificial intelligence and fully automatically designing the last, the pattern, and even all the stuff the factory needs to be able to produce that shoe, which is a one-of-a-kind pair, in their standard mass production process. And that was what took most of the time, like writing the software which designs a nice looking and good fitting last and bringing this to shop floor level.
And what's the price point of something like this?
Our shoes start at €550 for box calf and cap toe and plate tone patterns. And depending on what you additional want, there is some premiums. So for example, if you want a more complex pattern like a full brook, it's €600. And right now we are very limited in the number of leathers we have, but until end of the year we are going to release a lot of new models and also, offer some more exotic leather types.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So really, what I'm hearing is that you guys are focusing on really closing the gap with fit and comfort.
Yes.
Right? Because there's a lot of companies out there, and I'm sure yourselves included, that are capable of doing factory-made work at a high level. But for someone that might have a very difficult to fit foot, they're pushed into bespoke because you're very limited right now and ready to wear.
Or at least handmade shoes, even though they may not have the money to actually buy a handmade shoe. And they don't want all the other things that comes with a handmade shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, so that person that would otherwise be forced to bespoke, right, which is a huge price jump, can access that degree of fit variability or fit flexibility, through the technology that you guys are offering at Modem.
Exactly. Basically, the only differentiation that we have between a real or classical bespoke shoe and our shoe is the level of individualization. So we are working, like Milan just said, with 4 different toe styles that are very specific, and we cannot make individual adjustments. But what we are doing is that we are separating fit from aesthetics. So you are not limited by your feet on what you can actually buy, but you can choose your configuration, and we make sure that the shoe fits.
Yeah, well, that's exciting. So what's next for you, gentlemen?
Yeah, first of all, finishing the remaining pre-orders. And during the next month, we need to prepare our big launch. So prepare brand building. We have some plans for a nice launch event, and also develop a ton of new models, because at the beginning we tried to cover the biggest majority of taste, let's say. But especially here, speaking with shoe enthusiasts, we saw that, and for us it's not such a big deal, that there is a demand for other toe styles, and we would like to come up with that.
Yeah. And I guess that since all you need as a customer to be able to experience this is an iPhone, really anyone around the world could order shoes, through your service.
Yes, absolutely. And actually our app works on also Android phones, and we don't need a specific model, just a camera. So you can even use a 6 or 7-year-old iPhone to make the 3D scan with the exact same accuracy.
So congratulations. It's pretty exciting to see technology being applied to bespoke shoemaking, or at least shoemaking. We get this question all the time on the channel, why take measurements by hand? Why not just 3D scan the foot? And it looks like you guys are really bringing that to reality.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you guys. So one of the things that is so unique about this year's London Super Trunk Show is really the global reach of exhibitors that have come to London to showcase their incredible work. One such example are these gentlemen from India. Afan, thank you so much for taking some time. Your company, Bridlin, am I saying that correctly?
That's right,
yeah.
Bridlin.
Is doing high quality Goodyear welted shoes in India.
That's correct. We started off actually in Japan, making for the Japanese market Goodyear welted shoes about 5 years ago. And the brand has been in Japan for about 10 years now.
Really?
So we're used to the kind of Japanese expectation of quality.
Well, the Japanese, their expectations are excruciating.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's been absolutely rewarding working with them, because we set our benchmark and then they kind of push it higher and then higher and then higher. You never get there, but it's always enjoyable working with them.
So talk to me about your brand, kind of where you are in the market, your price point, and kind of the inspiration behind the work.
So the quality aspect, we're looking to emulate certain parts of the bespoke shoemaking process. So in that, we've got an insole, for example, typically factory-made Goodyear welted shoes have a cotton rib that's attached. We do this closer to what the bespoke world does, where we take a channel out on the insole. What that does is you work with 4.5 millimeters, 5 millimeter thick insoles. It adds to the comfort, but obviously it also adds to the kind of robustness of the construction itself.
Okay, interesting.
So that's one aspect of it.
And so have you had to develop special machinery in order to, is it still machine sewn?
It is machine sewn, and it's also machine channeled.
Okay.
So we did have to come up with a special machine for this. Very few of them are around in the world. But the reason it's not very popular is because it has a very high kind of rejection rate in the beginning. So you have to be very patient with the machine to set it up. Now that we're about 2 years into it, it behaves well.
And I'm sure you have to have a very highly skilled kind of workforce that understands how to use it.
Yes, but it was all a learning curve. I mean, I started off, I can operate my machines in the factory.
Yeah.
So I learned every machine before I could teach it to the next person in the factory and so on. So it was a long learning curve, but we're getting there. It still is, but we're getting there.
So it's a factory-made, Goodyear welted machine, but you guys have kind of really bridged the gap, if you will. You've got this channel. It allows you to use a thicker, more comfortable outsole. Now, anything else about the construction that's particularly unique?
Yes, there is. We do something called 3D attachment or third dimensional attachment. It's similar to what you have in haute couture, where you make the clothes on a bust. So here we make the upper on the last. So we attach the upper on the last. So let's say about 40 to 60% of the shape of the upper is brought about in the upper process itself. So this way, when it goes to the lasting process, you don't have to use excessive force or stretch the upper as much. This lets the uppers sort of...
Yeah. So are you sewing the upper together on the last, or?
We're attaching it on the last with a little bit of glue and then immediately sewing it down. So it's only along the stitch lines that you have the glue. The other thing is between the upper and the lining, there is no glue. We keep it absolutely clean. Another thing we do is we don't use any interlinings. What this allows is for better breathability, again kind of respecting the quality and the character of leather. Not stretching it much so you can have the original touch of the leather, no interlining so you can have the breathability of the leather. So these are kind of...
Are you using hard counters in order to give structure?
Yes, we use a leather board counter in the back. So use that, and of course it's elastic in the front.
Yeah, fascinating. So what's the price point of a shoe like this?
The main line has a price of £210. British
So
pounds.
about $300, a little bit less.
Somewhere around there. And the Founders line, which is where I'm using more limited edition leathers, a few more kind of bespoke concepts, that's about £250.
Yeah. So very accessible product.
That's the idea. So this is another Japanese concept which we wanted to bring, that we want more people to enjoy these kind of materials, these kind of qualities. So it should be available to more people.
Yeah. Interesting. So outside of the Japanese market, I mean, how does someone get in touch with your company?
It's online. Thankfully, now we have got .com. So before it was only a .jp. It was only for the Japanese-speaking customers. And now we have a .com, so the English-speaking world can access us. So it's bridlin.com. So you can see where we are.
Yeah. And great. And so is it all made to order, or you do stock?
It is made to order. There's no stock. Once you place in your order, that's when we start to cut the leather. And then it takes about 4 weeks to finish the shoe itself.
Okay. Excellent.
This is the Bespoke, closer to Bespoke in that is the Founders line. This is where we've got the fiddle back going. We do metal toe taps. And I call it the Formula One team of our collection. In that, here I'm trying out certain technologies that I'm just learning and bringing it to this line. If it's something that looks nice, for example, you see the stitch pitch on that is much finer than it is on the standard line.
That's nice.
And when that happens, I do it for a year and then I'll bring it out to the main line.
Okay.
So
yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your work with me, and appreciate your time. And thanks for making it all the way here to London.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right.
So there we have it. That brings the 2022 London Super Trunk Show to a close. I must say it was a resounding success, not just in terms of the turnout, the diversity of vendors, but also the workmanship that we saw in the World Championships of Patina, shoe shining, and shoemaking. Absolutely incredible. It was a privilege to be involved for the 3rd year as a judge. And of course, all of this brought to you through our YouTube channel, Kirby Allison. Now, if you enjoyed this video, of course, make sure you subscribe. But if you want to support the type of work that we're doing here at Kirby Allison, please take a moment, of course, to visit kirbyallison.com, where you'll find the largest selection of luxury garment care and luxury shoe care accessories in the world, as well as other great clothing accessories for the well-dressed, like this beautiful sovereign grade necktie, pocket squares, braces, socks, and so much more. We've just launched a new way to support Kirby Allison through our Patreon. 100% of the proceeds from our Patreon will be used to support our ability to travel to visit independent craftspeople and artisans around the world. And of course, each of these memberships come with exclusive benefits, such as discounts to the website and exclusive products. Of course, I'm Kirby Allison, and I love to help the well-dressed acquire and care for their wardrobes while discovering the world of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. Thanks for watching.